One of the biggest problems people who are depressed have is their inability to actually deal with their emotion, and most importantly, how to deal with grief, which is under all other negative emotions. So, what is grief and why is it causing people to be depressed? To put it as simply as possible, grief is the loss of love. So, when you lose something that you love, like a person, an identity that kept you safe, or anything of that nature, a pet, something like that, which you love, and you lose it, the way you heal from that is by actually grieving it. Now, there's 5 stages of grief that you need to know about in order to be able to dissolve it and then move past it. Because grief in and of itself is not a bad thing, but when we don't actually process it, then it turns into depression, it turns into anxiety, it turns into poor self-worth, it turns into addiction, all of these things. So when we actually go through a loss and then we go through the grieving process, we still love that person, but we're no longer completely distraught, and we've come to a place of acceptance, which is actually the last part of the grieving process, and then we can actually move on, still having that person in our heart or that thing in our heart, but we have moved on, and it's no longer running our life and making us miserable. Now, the first stage of grief is denial, which is pretty self-explanatory. You just don't believe it, you reject it, you're like, nah, this is it can't be true. After that becomes anger. You're just angry at the fact that that loss happened, or you've been betrayed in that manner, or you just lost like love or relationship that you thought you once had, and you're just angry about it. Then comes bargaining, where you start to bargain with reality, where like if I can do this, then maybe this can happen. If I do this, maybe this can happen. What you see is in a lot of cases that's useless. It's just you're trying to cope with loss. Then after you just get really depressed and sad about the fact that you had loss. This is the part that most people are afraid of. Most people are afraid that if they go into sadness, they'll never come out, or it's going to be too overwhelming, or that sadness makes them weak. And this can go for all other emotions as well. There can be shame and guilt trapped around that emotion, so they don't actually access it, so they reject it within themselves, which cuts the grieving process and which also stunts emotional growth. So if you cut your emotions off at a certain age because it was too painful for you to experience it, then you're essentially stuck at that emotional age and you can't actually grow. So once you get through the sadness and the depression, which is just something you need to express, like you just need to process and allow to move through you, and you might cycle through these stages. Um, while you're going through a guilt, you may jump back and forth